Friends, you are in for a very special treat today. Her name is Laura Beltran, and she's the principal of St. Joseph's Catholic High School in Windsor, Ontario, and has dedicated 31 years to education with the Windsor-Essex Catholic School District School Board. She's committed to equity, inclusion, and student well-being, and she fosters a school culture of kindness and belonging. Beyond academic, she leads initiatives like Hockey for Youth and her Benevolence Café, ensuring students feel valued, supported, and empowered. Welcome, Laura Beltran.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's go back. How did you get into this education journey?
Oh, that's a very good question. It certainly was not a pathway that I thought I was going to go into. When I was in high school, I always thought I was going to be a pediatrician. I went to university and I began.
You're still working with children.
I began with the sciences and moved over to humanities and then on to criminology. And from there, I applied to Teachers College and began my teaching career with primary junior students when I received a call from the director of the education at that time asking me to take on a OAC law class because I had my criminology background. And I never looked back.
So is that what got you focusing on teaching year 8 and 9 students?
Well, I think I've always wanted to work with young people, but in the journey of how will I do that, I thought maybe at one point policing would have been my route, but it wasn't. And then I thought, how can I affect the lives of young people in a positive way? And teaching was one of those natural paths to take.
Well, that's great. Now, you've led students on international trips focused on culture and community services. How do these experiences enhance their education and personal growth?
Any of the activities that we do outside of the classroom just enhance them as human beings and just add to their life experience. So some of those experiences I've taken students on where we're able to experience culture that we wouldn't necessarily really appreciate through a textbook or in a classroom. And perhaps many of these children would not be able to experience that if it weren't for the assistance of the school being able to make those arrangements. They are different people when they return from these trips. These experiences will allow them to see themselves empowered to be able to do these things for themselves moving forward long after they leave us in a high school setting.
Yeah, my oldest granddaughter right now is in Thailand, and they're doing both, enjoying the culture, but they're also doing community service over there. And that is, I think, changes people's hearts, minds, and souls in ways we can never comprehend.
I agree. Community service is a super important aspect to all of our lives. I often say to my student body that what we do in this building is a microcosm of what the greater community should be doing. And so we can lead by example. And many of the times that we see young people, they're the ones that come up with the initiatives. They're the ones that are really putting the initiatives together and then fulfilling the work that needs to be done in order to create change. These are change makers that we have before us.
Well, if we could only bottle that energy and everybody have it.
That's right. That's it exactly. And they are examples for the adults in our community. And I will often tell them that what they do every single day, if we could have the adults in our community behaving in the same manner, with the same amount of energy, with the same mindset of being a positive change maker, with the idea of spreading kindness to others, I think our community would look different.
Exactly. So you've had over or nearly 3 decades in education. What changes have you seen in teaching, and how do you continue to evolve as an educator?
Oh my goodness, what a great question. Changes that I have seen, the role of technology, the increased need for mental health support services, the idea of equity, inclusion, diversity, really taking the forefront of what we do every single day within our schools. And it can be
Those are
taxing.
huge. Those are huge.
Yes, they are. And they impact all of us in our lives and within our school community. And so, as educators, it is on us to make sure that we're bringing those safe spaces into our sites and to allowing our children to be the very possible version of themselves so that when they leave us, they can make those positive changes moving forward. How do you keep doing that year in and year out? Lots of energy. I get my energy from the students that I work with every single day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't do a tour of my building, walk into classrooms, walk into the student center, walk into the cafeteria, build those relationships with students. It's energizing, and I look forward to it every single day.
Well, that's very important because those things are what matter. Those things are really what keeps you involved. And you know, you are eligible for retirement, yet you choose to keep working. So tell me about that. I mean, a lot of teachers say, I've punched in my 30 years, I've got my age plus my working numbers, I can retire. What keeps you going?
I think what keeps me going is the fact that I feel I still have something to offer my school community, and the young people I work with. The day I feel I'm done, I don't have the energy to do it anymore, is the day that I will retire. But until then, I honestly feel like I still have a great deal to offer and positive changes that can still be made for the young people that I serve. And I definitely truly mean that when I say that I serve my school community. My leadership style is very much one of servant leadership, where students must have a voice. Staff should also have a voice in what is happening in your school, so that together, and we always have this, at my school, we call ourselves a family, because that is how we indicate to the kids, this is our expectation. We will treat one another as family, and we will spread that kindness. And what we do inside this building, you might not think it matters, but it matters because it will spread to the greater community. And we're not going to stop doing it.
So it's not just reading, writing, and arithmetic, is it?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Academic piece is one thing, but creating an environment where students feel comfortable, feel as though their voice matters, is just as important to what they're doing in the classrooms.
Fantastic. Now, a couple of things. You've led trips to Mexico and Costa Rica. How have those affected the teachers and your students?
Those trips, those children come back with a greater understanding of humanity and how life is in other parts of the world, where we might look at something and think, oh, we value education and we have the right to an education. And do we really value the environment? Do we really value other gifts that God has given us? And until you experience it, until you see it in other areas, you're certainly not going to have that breadth of understanding and depth of understanding that you do once you're there.
So tell me one or more unexpected lessons that you've learned while leading international student trips.
I think just the joy and the gratitude that students will share with us, being able to have that opportunity that they never thought that they would have an opportunity like that, and then seeing themselves in roles that are empowering and empowering for them to make change once they return home. And you will see the ideas, the energy flowing about, what can we do now that we're back home to help other individuals in places that we visited.
That's beautiful. Now, you lead two initiatives, Hockey for Youth and your Benevolence Café. Can you expand on those a little bit?
I sure can. You see the hockey stick behind me in my office. That is signed by Joel Quenville. The Quenville family supports the Hockey for Youth program here in Windsor. Windsor is the only program that is offered in Windsor, is the one offered at St. Joe's High School. It is for high priority youth who would otherwise not be able to afford hockey lessons or skating lessons or being able to learn the game of hockey. And so once a week, we have approximately 25 to 30 young women in grades 9 through 12 that partake in this program, where we have someone in the community that volunteers to coach them, to learn how to play the game. And greater than that, build those relationships with one another where they see themselves making a positive impact. They see themselves doing something they never thought they would be able to do. And the joy on their faces is absolutely contagious. I'll put it that way. They are eager to start every single game. We play Tuesday nights at the WFCU, and the smiles continue long after the ice.
Well, that's beautiful. So I'm going to get you to pause there. We're going to pause for a brief commercial message. But friends, come right back, because we have so much more to share with Laura Beltran. Friends, today I have Laura Beltran, principal of St. Joseph's Catholic High School in Windsor, Ontario, who has dedicated 31 years to education with the Windsor-Essex Catholic District School Board. Laura, tell me about your other initiative, the Benevolence Café.
So the Benevolence Café is basically a hot chocolate with Miss Beltran, or lemonade with Miss Beltran in the spring. But I do this every Friday at lunch, and the students know about it. And there's a lineup in my atrium from my office door to the other end of the school. And its origins began with the idea that how do I really get to know my students in a building of approximately 1,400 students? How do you really get to know who these students are? Well, every Friday I make them hot chocolate and I have conversations with them and I find out a little bit more about them. They have the opportunity to speak to me, ask me questions, ask me about things that they would like to see in our school. And of course, who doesn't love a nice hot cup of hot chocolate with some marshmallows on top?
Oh, yeah.
I always tell them one of the most special ingredients is the love, Miss Beltran's love, that I put in every single cup of hot chocolate that I make for them.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, I'm going to ask you a tough question. If you can design your dream experiential learning program, what would it look like?
Wow. Well, I think it would have to have it would be multifaceted, because in our age of technology, we're not going to be going away from e-learning anytime. But I think that idea of the face-to-face learning is imperative to build relationships with young people, opportunities for placements in the community, opportunities for them to be able to express themselves and really hone in on their strengths. So whether it is hands-on learning or whether it is the ability to differentiate the way that instruction is given to them so that they can do the best and succeed in their own strengths. And having that student voice, and creating an environment where it is diverse, it is equitable and can be seen as equitable, and the students feel it is equitable, and inclusionary, where we include all students of all needs, of all capabilities within our sites. For example, within the Windsor-Essex Catholic District School Board, we are inclusionary board, and so we have students who are not credit bound, who are still programmed with the rest of our student population, because they are included in every activity that we have within our site, and every opportunity they have the ability to partake in as well.
So what steps have you taken to ensure all students feel supported and can achieve success?
So we have a variety of initiatives. The Hockey for Youth is a very big initiative in that. We have mental health supports within our building, and one of the things that we're working on right now is it's a safe space, but it's almost like a cafe style, where students who may not necessarily feel that they fit into the larger group, where it's noisy, it's loud at lunch, might have a smaller space, a more quieter space, calmer space, where they can work on, their mental health needs, or just feel like they fit in, meet other people, build relationships. And just, again, when you feel as though you belong, when you feel there is at least one safe adult in the building that you trust, we know, statistics show us, that those students will be successful and they will be drawn to school, and you won't have the attendance issues, because they feel like they are a true part, an important part of our school community.
Laura, you've not only walked the talk, you not only talk the talk, you walk the talk. How have you learned to live a fantastic life?
Well, I'll tell you, a lesson that began many years ago when I first started teaching. I had indicated to my class at that point I was moving into administration, and somebody else was going to be taking over the remainder of my class. And as the students were leaving, one young lady stayed behind, and she was a very quiet young lady. I didn't even really think she enjoyed my class, to be honest. She was so quiet. And she asked me if she could talk to me for a moment. And what she said to me has resounded with me my entire career. She said, "Miss, what I would like in my life is to be able to find something that I enjoy doing every single day of my life. And I see that in what you do in the classroom, and whatever I choose to do, I want to take that energy with me, and I want to do that in my life, because I see with my parents, they have a chosen career, but all I hear about at the dinner table is how much they don't like it. And I always say, why don't you change?" And they say it's too late. But she says, what I see in the classroom, what I feel from you, is just that joy, that you're not really coming to work. It's just something that you enjoy doing. And she said, that's what I want for me. And that has stayed with me my entire career.
Last night with the grandchildren's oven, we had a movie night, and they chose a movie called Augie, which is about a little boy that's born with severe craniofacial problems. I mean, he was deformed to the point that he needed 30 surgeries just to breathe, just to eat, just to get somewhat normal. Now, he was so deformed that he wore an astronaut's helmet over his head most of the time. And then his mother said in grade 5, it's middle school, you have to go to school. And she facilitated that and got him into school. And it was hard, because you know how cruel kids can be, making fun of other children and bullying them and so on. But this is a story of joy, and I encourage you it's on Netflix. You encourage all your teachers, all your, even students, to watch it as a class project, because it really helps them grow as individuals.
It sounds like a wonderful movie, actually. I am going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up, and I'll send you what the entire name is so that you can make sure you look at it, because
Perfect.
it truly is an opportunity to grow and to learn. It was a great movie, and it's something that I think everybody in the educational field should watch, because people forget about these little things and how children can be so cruel. Children are just
Yes.
children, and when somebody looks abnormal, they take it out on them. And it's not good, but
No,
it's part of what kids are.
it is. But again, that's part of what we as the adults in the education system need to teach children about. I mean, one of the things that we do here, we do something called course pairing with our life skills students, with students in the traditional pathways that will come together, work together, lead one another, so that there is that level of acceptance with children of all
Exactly.
needs.
Exactly. Well, we can't affect how people look, but we can affect how people see. And that's what we all have to do.
And gratitude is part of that too, right? And just every single day at the end of announcements, I always say, this is my message to all of my students: be kind to one another and take care of one another. That's my message every single day.
And that's beautiful. Well, we're almost at the end of our time together. And this show is for educators. Can you give a way for educators to get in touch with you if you'd like?
Sure. They can email me at Laura_Beltran at wecdsb.on.ca.
And I'll put that in the notes as well. So if anybody wants to get in touch with Laura, I would love you to do that. We've just put our toe in the ocean here of what Laura knows and believes. But the purpose of this show is to push you on to better ideas, better knowledge, and that the sum total of all my guests will help you and your schools do so much better. Because, again, we are not tapping into all the greatness that's out there. We're just starting. And if this show can make one teacher learn one new skill, my gosh, have we ever succeeded? Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
And friends, make sure you stand up for other episodes that'll be out. Sign up so that we can send you more of these. And make sure you don't miss a single episode of the Elite Educator. They'll be coming up every week. Bye for now, and have a fantastic day.